That's a worse headline than Asmongold. I think that should be illegal.
This Reddit mod just called Congress because he lost his job as a Reddit mod. I have never seen a stereotype more true in my life. This guy's
and in one person, which is even more funny, honestly.
Entire life revolves around being a Reddit mod, and he is doing his absolute best to destroy it. Because just within the span of a few weeks, this former Reddit mod went from getting kicked off his own community to, I guess, making phone calls to the US Congress like he's uncovering some sort of like online conspiracy. And somehow this wasn't even a meltdown in his head. This was his mission to make people see what only he could see.
Hello, Spez, Mr. CEO.
That's very nice, because that's how typically these things work. Also, he's using a beauty filter
Of Reddit. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness. I was the top moderator of your #1 gaming subreddit, r/livestreamfail, before I was recently removed from that position by the Reddit Code of Conduct team.
So, if you spent any time watching live streams on whatever platform,
that's a modern day disaster, as they say. Yeah, I actually believe it.
Chances are you've already came across the subreddit called r/livestreamfail. Usually it just goes by LSF. It's been around for years and has grown into this kind of like main hub on Reddit for everything related to streaming. For example, when something goes down on a stream, like a ban, a fight, a meltdown, LSF is usually where it surfaces first and where it gets amplified and then, you know, spread on Twitter and then YouTube videos and so on and so on. So naturally, the people overseeing this, and especially the head moderator, ends up with a decent amount of influence, you know, since they're not just removing spam or enforcing the basic rules, but they're also in a position to somehow kind of like shape what people end up seeing, what gains traction, and what quietly disappears before most people even notice it was posted. And that person, since late 2024, was a guy who goes by Stale2000, whose real name is Brian, but I guess he also has a secondary account called Tarot Card, which, you know,
of course it has to be something like that.
We haven't covered anything here recently that ended badly that was in relation to tarot cards. Absolutely not. But it's safe to say this guy's run as a mod here has been quite controversial way before any of this happened. Because right when he got his position as head moderator back in September 2024, several other mods went public almost immediately, and they asked the community to move to a backup subreddit and accused Stale of refusing to step down after the whole team voted to remove him, essentially citing what they described as a pattern of power abuse. So when you're accused of power abuse, what do? Well,
typically you're supposed to abuse the power so that goes away. I guess he failed at that.
Apparently his response was to kick the entire team and replace them with his own people. Bro, that's like straight out of the dictator handbook. And even a detailed document outlining his conduct was sent to Reddit's admins, though publicly, nothing really came of it. Like, it didn't really take off and Stale stayed in place. Nowadays, there are two different subreddits running. Livestream Fail, which is, I guess, the original one, and then Livestream Fails with an S that never really managed to succeed. Then March 2025 rolls around and a new mod team comes in. And this one, you know, the one he assembled after the first purge, I guess you could call it, they essentially start having the same issues with him. But this time, things got a lot more.
How do you fail abusing power 2 times in a row? Now that's a trick that not many can handle.
More heated, because the new team found evidence that one of the moderators that Stale had added, I guess someone who was described as a power mod because he was running like 200 subreddits at the same time. He had
Yeah, I have heard about this before, that most Reddit mods actually moderate like many Reddits. And by the way, again, this is all for free. These people are literally losing their lives, losing their everything to just be Reddit mods, the most unappreciated thing ever. I'm not even gonna call it work because that's a joke. And they're proud of it. My God.
very bad and inappropriate interactions with under 18s, allegedly. You know, I'm just trying to tiptoe around this without getting the video smited. That's at least my understanding of what happened. But when they brought it to Stale, according to their account, he sat on it and did nothing. And I guess when they pressed him on why, he admitted that at least part of the reason was he was worried that if he removed this guy, it might put his own standing at risk. Apparently, this guy's...
What does that actually mean even? What?
Priorities are completely mixed up. But the moderators eventually...
Honestly, sounds exactly like I would expect. I expect every Reddit moderator to be power hungry and a failure. So there you go. I mean, fits my view of what a Reddit mod should be like, act like, and whatnot.
Actually approached the power mod directly and got him to step down voluntarily. Stale, however, responded by thanking him on the way out and then firing the mod team for making a fuss about the whole thing. Excuse me, what?
Damn.
Yeah, that's just not someone you want on your moderating team. What do you mean making a fuss about it? So essentially you have two complete separate groups of moderators who
Wait, so is that guy like still a moderator in 200 other Reddits? That's a good question. That is what's happening there.
rallied against Stale, who now had the same fate. They just got deleted from the server because they had problems with them. So now we fast forward until early January 2026, and a new project starts, I guess, making noise online. And this is called $1 Million Fan. The idea is pretty simple. A bunch of content creators and their fans would compete head to head in a luxury mansion in Canada with an absolute enormous prize pool of $20 million. It was supposed to be developed
Oh yeah, this was what OTK was pushing.
for Prime Video with, filming planned for November of 2026. And for scale, I mean, Mr. Beast's game show, which has also been produced and distributed by Prime, had a smaller prize. So right away, the numbers alone are massive. And a handful of streamers got behind it publicly. And on the top of our...
Oh, look at that. It's literally every single, almost typical person you would expect. Wow.
Got behind it publicly. And on the top of r/livestream fail, a pin post appeared promoting it. And this was put...
You know what's the funniest part about this? If Extra Emily won, she would still not return the money she owes her parents.
publicly, and on the top of r/livestream fail, a pin post appeared promoting it. And this was put there by Stale himself. And he said later that he'd reached out to the show's organizers on his own because he personally thought the project was interesting and wanted LSF to be a part of it, but still assured he wasn't paid to promote it. However, given the scale...
That is so wild, by the way. Okay, I'm a Reddit mod. I'm gonna find my subreddit opportunities to do stuff for others for free and make extra work for me. Like, what is that?
Of the project, it was never going to stay contained to LSF. So once the pin post went up, $1 million...
And if you think this is lies because there's no way someone could be like that, no. This is exactly what some people are like. Keep in mind, there's literally billions of people. If someone is this insane, they're gonna do it. It's not even hard in the days of the internet. Keep in mind, Johnny Somali is a real person.
Other fans started drawing attention outside of the subreddit. And when the broader internet caught wind of it, they began digging. And what they found was definitely not reassuring, to put it lightly, because the front page of their website contained a mansion photo that was an AI-generated stock image. The company behind the show had been incorporated through one of the cheapest registration services in British Columbia, and the listed address was right beside a falafel shop. So it just didn't make sense.
Convenient.
Then on top of that, the domain itself was registered in Iceland. And then suddenly, other things started to change. The price amount had apparently shifted at some point. The main website said $20 million, but now suddenly it was $10 million. There was just a lot of things that didn't line up here. But an interesting...
Things happen, but what do you expect, life to not move on? You can't have everything.
Find here was the fine print, because a section of the official rules appeared to have just been copy pasted from Omaze, which used to be like this celebrity sweepstakes company that did like a whole bunch of like Lambo giveaways, and they just gave away everything. So it's like, why is this copy pasted from Omaze? And that company...
I'm not gonna lie, I would do the same.
Company was shut down, by the way, for a whole bunch of lawsuits. But the Culver City PO box used for copyright claims was the same one Omaze had listed, and the company's name in the document was written as $1 Million Fan Reality Show Incorporate. Actually, there was two incorporates. $1 Million Fan Reality Show 1 Incorporate. What? And then you had one section which just seemed like ChatGPT was drafting notes, which also included some like weird note to how to frame payment language and dispute with credit card processors. So it's like, what is this website? What's going on here? Whatever it is.
Well, it's exactly the quality you would honestly expect ChatGPT to provide.
It was very slow.
But keep in mind, still people obviously bought into this. Because I know a lot of you are going to be shocked, but... Are you ready for this? I want you to sit down, actually, in case you're too shocked, right? Most influencers, and when I say most, I mean 99.99999% of these influencers are not smart. Yes. Yes. They're not. They're not smart. Okay? That's the truth.
Floppy. Well, we're using this comment for reference because that original website is no longer up. But the only sponsors anyone could identify were a handful of affiliate links, a supplement brand, and LSF itself. So that's interesting.
It always has to be a supplement brand.
But nobody could track down who was behind the whole thing or where the $20 million were actually coming from. So naturally, people started saying
they weren't probably coming from anywhere. This was just an attempt to get the sponsors to give enough money so the 20 million does happen.
That this looked like a scam. And on Reddit, Stale started deleting those comments. So then on January 13th, the $1 Million Fan website went offline without any warning or explanation. Within the same few days though, every social media account associated with the project was either deleted or wiped clean. And at that point, Critical had already put out a video before the shutdown, calling the show suspicious and walking through the red flags. But once the site disappeared, he followed up, pointing out that everything about the collapse was consistent with what he described.
And it pertains to last night's video about the $20 million reality TV show called The $1 Million Fan Show. I speculated that it was a big scam, and a lot of Twitch streamers had been publicly put on the website. Some had even made announcements about their endorsement of the $1 Million Fan Show, and nothing about it seemed legitimate. But last night on stream, like 45 minutes after I posted the video, they took their website down. Then I was checking their other ancillary and all of that is removed.
Then back
Ancillary.
on Reddit, the conversation had shifted almost entirely from the show to the mod who pinned it. So people were formally reporting Stale to Reddit's admin team, asking whether he had been compensated and arguing that using a moderator position to promote an outside project was a direct violation of Reddit's rules. So 2 days later,
Reddit doesn't care about their own rules. That's kind of the big reason why stuff like this keeps happening.
Reddit's Code of Conduct team concluded the investigation and removed Stale from the LSF mod team. And this wasn't only his main account, this was also his secondary account, which was Tarot Card, and apparently had a third account called the Positivity Patrol as well. All of them were removed. So I guess just after a year, his run on Livestream Fail was completely done. Now, this is where things start going downhill. Because on the same day he was removed, he uploaded a video to YouTube addressing Reddit's CEO, Steve Huffman, also known as Spez. And he, it's safe to say he went viral, to put it lightly, for all the wrong reasons. This is a crazy video.
Hello, Spez. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness, and that is of Reddit moderation and the state of your platform. I became a Reddit moderator for one reason, and that is because I think that Reddit communities and correspondingly its moderators have massive power and influence, and for some reason, nobody seems to notice, care, or take this seriously. To summarize, Reddit moderators should be treated like celebrities or influencers, not because they deserve respect or anything, but because they actually have real power and influence.
Again, I have never seen a stereotype more true than this. But for some reason, he also defended $1 Million Fan, saying there was no definitive evidence that it was a scam. And he took a direct shot at...
I mean, there was no definitive evidence that Ashes of Creation is a scam or anything also, so there you go.
Critical for what he felt was irresponsible coverage. And after that, Stale and Critical had this like small back and forth with a couple of response videos. And it was one of those follow-ups that Stale actually made an argument that was slightly more interesting than his original one. Because here he pointed out that he'd been able to run Livestream Fail for over a year with what he described as near dictatorial control. And for the most part, nobody above him stepped in. And that's not a small admission because, you know, what he essentially was arguing was, if I had all of this unchecked power, imagine who else does.
If we're worried about bias, I can promise you that there are way bigger fish to fry that I'm not sure that brand deals for community events is really the biggest danger out there.
There are no qualifications to be a Reddit mod.
You're right. Maybe because there are no such qualifications, this is why we're seeing all the problems that we see. Reddit is a $50 billion company that moderators have power over. Maybe not as much power as an overly invested, egotistical power mod as myself might like to believe, but power nonetheless. And most Reddit moderators are completely unqualified, biased, power hungry, and are doing a bad job. And Reddit isn't doing anything to fix it. Maybe it should.
But I guess what he didn't understand was that's what all of the mods previously were accusing him of doing. So it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a typical situation of they kettle calling the pot black. Wow. Delusion is a scale, and this guy has found a way outside of this scale.
You just proved their point, dude. And to be fair, I mean, Reddit has had recurring issues with moderator overreach for years now. For example, just a couple of months before this whole situation, a single mod on the r/art subreddit locked the entire community after an artist posted about selling their own prints. And apparently they only
Good, no one cares about the art community.
reopened the subreddit after Reddit staff stepped in. So even though some of the points Dale was making could be true, I'm not sure he's the right messenger. And that's when he made things even worse, because he decided to—
No. The whole problem with this is clearly the fact that this guy does not understand that he is describing himself, or maybe even worse, the fact that he knows he's describing himself, but he thinks that he is still good and in the right, which would put this on a... Man, this guy really does not like scales. Because he's constantly just finding ways to escape them. There's no way to quantify the delusion here.
call Congress. Like, literally. Dude, what are they gonna do? What? I guess the second he realized that—
Based, let's be real, it's not like American Congress has anything better to do.
with some sort of backlash and the videos maybe weren't landing the way he probably expected, he uploaded a video talking about the 4 levels of irony, which sounds a little bit like a pivot to me, but, you know, then a month later, he starts calling Congress. Again, what are they going to do? You are a Reddit mod. I mean, ex-Reddit mod. What does Congress have anything to do with a Reddit mod? Like, if you want to be a Reddit mod so bad, just make your own subreddit. But in February, almost a whole month after this video, Stale started posting a series of videos making phone calls to government officials. Now, to understand why that—
Oh, I saw one of these. Yeah, I saw this. I mean, this is not gonna do anything. I think this is the Freedom of Transparency Act. But I mean, he's just... Because the end game of this is the guy wants to be a celebrity. He understood that, my opinion is this. He understood that Reddit is either not gonna cut it, not gonna work, or, you know, that whatever his approach was, it's not gonna work. And now he's just effectively trying to be, you know, desperate stunts for relevance. This is what he has done. This is one of the guys who is trying now to get on Mizkiv's good side, because a lot of the opinions around him are slowly shifting and stuff like that. So this guy is just kind of desperate for fame, and that's honestly kind of it. And so he's doing all of these things. I think he's a little bit too much cowardly to do truly the wild stuff like everyone else. And so he's just trying to find creative workarounds, let's just say it like that, you know, to become relevant and known and whatnot. Anyway, that was a Tozy 10 out of 10. Bye!